saw you, you were maybe like, I don't know, 11?
Probably. Long time ago.
Yep.
So why don't we just do really quickly? Thanks everybody for coming. We got about 42 people here, and there were more than that. That we'll probably get some more coming. But I usually expect half the people to show up that sign up, and this is, probably 85% right now. So what I think it would be nice if we just take a minute and, not much more than your name and where you know mom from, but not a story at this point. We'll share stories after this, but want to just let everybody introduce each other. Maybe this will take a minute or two of just kind of your name and where you know mom from, and not a story really. So I'll go around as I see people on my screen, and hopefully you unmute yourself when you speak and mute yourself back when you're done. And I'm going to try to make it so that whoever speaks shows up, at least on my screen. Oh, that makes it harder for me. I'm not going to do that. Okay.
Can I start?
I'm sure. Go ahead.
Just in case people don't know me,
Yeah.
I'm Pat's daughter. I know mom from her belly, and that
Okay.
was 59 years ago. And I started in her belly in Houghton, Michigan. And maybe you'll see a picture. Oh, and if you found the one that's all in white, that's her in Houghton, Michigan. It was quite snowy. It was the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And that's, well, actually, I must have started in her belly, not in Michigan, but I ended up there. I was born there. And then we moved to Cortland, New York, and we're there for 5 years. And Owen was born in Syracuse in upstate New York. And then we moved to Baltimore in 1967. And that's where pretty much the rest is history.
Okay.
But that, all right, I was supposed to just say my name. Sorry.
So
That's all.
Here's another example of how you can introduce yourself. I'm Owen. I'm Pat's son. And for now, I'm going to ask Rob and Ben. Rob, to introduce yourself. Rob.
Hi, I'm Rob. I am Pat's grandson of two. I'm the younger one, and I have born in Baltimore, raised in Maine for the most part.
Okay, and Ben.
My son.
Yeah, hi everyone. Rob's brother, Catherine's son, Grandma's grandson, of course. Living in Vermont, grew up in Maine and Baltimore.
Okay. And now we'll just go around quickly and, on the quick end of those examples, and then we'll have time for everybody to share a story later, right after this. But Peggy?
Well, I'm Wells's mother, Peggy Obrecht, and I knew your mother very well in the years she was in Baltimore.
Yeah. And Ken with Jim on deck. So
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah.
I'm Ken, and I'm Aunt Pat's nephew. I reside in St. Louis, and of course, I'm Bob Barrett's son, my late father.
Okay. And just in case anybody doesn't know, we are recording, so but I think you'll be fine. Jim with Joan and Mike on deck.
Hi, this is Jim Cheney. I met Pat through Owen at Paula Van Duzen's house, and also had a few encounters with her at Mountain View Friends meeting.
Great. Joan and Mike with Debbie and Howard, and looks like Nancy maybe on deck.
Joan and Mike Corcoran, of course, real estate clients and friends for 30 years, and we're in Maryland.
Okay, so it's Debbie and Howard, but I don't know who's with you. It's not Nancy.
No, it's Robin Conwood is with me.
Okay, you're small in the background. Okay.
We're crowding together for this.
Okay. All right.
Debbie,
go ahead.
And I met through Nancy Maitland, and that was my real estate agent and friend. Okay, I met Pat 27 years ago. She was our real estate agent and became a very good
And I met Pat when I was sitting at Mindy Mintz's house, and she turned around to Mindy and said, "Is he single?" And so I met Debbie because she set me up with Debbie. And voila, here we are about 15 years later.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and Jeb is up next with Sarah Marsden on deck.
Yeah, Jeb Saunders, classmate of Owen's in high school, and a friend of his ever since.
All right. And Sarah with Al Binford on deck.
I'm Sarah Marsden, and I know Owen through the Democratic Party and met his mom, but heard about it long before she moved to Colorado. So I know his relationship with her was so tight. So that's how I know her.
So if you didn't know, I was just outed as a Democrat. Okay. Al with Tom and Patty on deck, but Al Binford.
I met Pat at Claremont Park, where we were both residents, and I went to Pat's birthday party at Coors Field. We sat in the restaurant upstairs, watched it. I went to Harrison with her. We went down and back together, but didn't sit together, but we both enjoyed the show.
Yeah. And Tom and Patty with Antonia on deck. You're mute, I think.
Hi.
Gotcha.
I know Pat through Owen, through the Democrats here from working in the district. And it occurs to me that I know Owen's mother about possibly about the same way Owen might know my parents through me.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever met my parents, but they're part of my being all the time. And she's obviously part of Owen's presence in my life. So thanks.
And I met your mom at one of our baseball gatherings when we were trading tickets and all those kind of things.
Okay,
So I had a chance to talk to her a few times.
Thanks. Antonia with Nancy Maitland on deck.
Yeah, well, I know Pat through Owen, and I know Owen because of the Democrats, but also because of baseball. And I just so enjoyed meeting her. She was so engaged with everybody when we had a gathering at Paula's house.
Yeah. Thank you. Nancy with Gail Marcus on deck.
Yeah, I met Pat in an open house in 1989 in Baltimore.
Okay. Oh, good old friend. Gail with Laurie Levy on deck.
Okay, I'm a Denver Dem, which is how I know Owen. And I had the pleasure of meeting Pat and speaking with her a couple times at some functions at Owen's house.
Laurie Levy with Frosty and Sam on deck. Laurie, you're mute. You gotta unmute. There you go.
Okay. I think I must be Pat's oldest friend, because we go back to our freshman year at Mount Holyoke. And I don't know her as Pat, I know her as Batsy, my friend Batsy. And we have never lived in the same town at the same time, except for maybe a year in New York. But we have been friends forever.
Yeah. So glad you, go ahead.
I have so much to say, but I'll wait until it's my turn.
Okay, great to see you. And Frosty and Sam with Frank Sullivan on deck.
Frosty and Sam, we go back with Owen 40 some years to camping days at Colby Silver Camps in Durango, Colorado. And her mother and I go back as far as I can remember, but the highlight was the Obama acceptance speech at Mile High Stadium.
Okay. Well, Frank Sullivan with Lewis Wheeler on deck.
I met Pat when she showed up at my front door with Owen at one St. Patrick's Day party a number of years ago, and she came frequently, sometimes with Owen and sometimes without him, but she was always there.
All right. And Lewis with Van on deck.
Hi, I'm Lewis, and I knew Pat through my parents, David and Branya Wheeler, who were really great friends with Moreland and with Pat. And they go back way back into the, I think 40s and 50s, and stayed friends throughout their lives. My parents have passed since, but, and I'm lucky enough to know Owen and Catherine.
Lewis's dad introduced my parents. So, Van with Kathy and Mark on deck.
I knew Mrs. P through Owen, and I've known Owen since first grade at least. So
yeah,
a little while.
All right. Kathy and Mark with Rob, it looked like you might have somebody new on. So if you want to introduce somebody new, you're on deck. But Kathy and Mark.
Hey, hello, everyone. We met Pat in 1990. She was a real estate lady. We walked into her office and we really liked her. And then we've been friends ever since.
Yep.
She introduced us to a lot of the other people here who have all been friends with us since 1990.
All right. And Rob, was there anybody else there you wanted to introduce?
Well, my wife and my daughter are here with me.
Okay.
Her name is Kennedy.
That's
my
Mom's,
daughter.
That's Mom, great granddaughter.
My wife. Right.
Glad you're here. And
I can say I'm Judy Danielson, and I know Owen from a number of campaigns. He's a wonderful organizer, and I met Pat also probably working on publicity for universal health care at Paula's, and went out to dinner with her a couple times. She's a wonderful person. So I mourn her as well.
Great, thank you. And Kevin and Rick on deck. Rick and Andy, I guess, both on deck. But Kevin. Kevin, you're mute. Yeah.
Sorry.
There we go.
So I've known Pat since junior high. She was actually my junior high theater teacher, along with my now wife, Deborah.
I met Pat in 1983 when she was my 7th grade drama teacher.
Oh, great that you could be here. So Rick and Andy, are you in there together? It looks like with Ben, Ellie on deck. Ellie on deck.
So I know Pat through, oh, you want to turn that off? Yeah. Through Owen, and my brother Robert was in Owen's class, and we were so delighted to spend time with Pat and Owen when Rick and I were in Denver just a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
Rick,
think-
friend of Owen's, met through Andy.
Okay, thanks. And Ben, was there anybody else there? Did you want to introduce? I don't know if anybody else is there for you, Ben. Civiletti, Ben?
Oh, sorry, no. Robin wanted to be here, but it's my fault. She didn't get a heads up, so.
Okay. Okay. So Ellie with Ricky Haddo on deck.
Okay, this is Ellie, and I met Pat in 1949. I figured that was 72 years ago. And we were freshmen at Mount Holyoke College, and we spent our first 2 years when she was there for 2 years. I think she was there for 2 years. Maybe she was there for 1. I can't recall. But she and Lori and I were very good friends.
So in case, I'm going to put a pitch in now in case anybody's gone by the time I would have said it, but especially for you Holyoke people and anybody, Andy, who we just met, just published a book a year ago called Yale Needs Women, about the first class of women to go to Yale. And you should read it before the movie comes out. Okay. So Ricky with Mike Barrett on deck.
Hi. Yes, I met your mom at numerous political events that you hosted at your house. I think those are the main times, and she was delightful.
All right, thank you. And Mike with Dave and Sally on deck.
Hi, I'm Mike Barrett. I am Pat's nephew, Bob Barrett's son, and Ken Barrett's brother.
All right. Dave and Sally with Brenda and Barry on deck.
I'm David Hess, and this is my wife Sally, and I met Owen in first grade at Gilman, and then we had the good fortune of having both of our parents attend a camp orientation at Tips on Trips before we got to go to Colvig Silver Camps together, where Frosty and Sam worked, and Owen and I really became really close friends out there. And I really thank Pat for that.
Yeah. All right.
How do I send it, sir?
Sally, did you want to say anything?
Return?
I'm vicariously here, and Owen is one of my favorite people, so therefore Pat is one of my favorite people.
Okay, thanks. So Brenda and Barry with Wells on deck.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Brenda Risky, and
Yeah, and she just got a phone call. And I'm Barry Sarver, and we met through Owen here when he brought his mom from Maryland to Colorado. And we enjoyed many, many occasions with her.
Okay, thanks. So Wells with Matt Barrett on deck.
Hi, I'm Wells Obrecht, and I know Pat as the mother of Owen, and Owen was a classmate of mine from 1970 through high school and then on to graduate school.
Yeah, thanks. So Matt with Sheila Kowal on deck.
Hi, Matt Barrett. I'm Pat's nephew, Bob's son, Mike, and Ken's brother. And I've got Luca, my son, Leslie, wife, and my mom, who was Bob's sister, so Bob's wife, so Pat's sister-in-law.
Yeah. And for me, it's hard to see you all because we're looking right into the light. But so I didn't see the others. I could see your silhouette there, and I recognized it. But there we go. Yeah. Well, you just got the windows right behind you, so it's hard to see your faces or anything. But you can probably tell that from what you see on your screen. So Sheila with Nita on deck. Sheila, you're mute. Sheila, you're mute. There you go.
I may be the person on this call who's known Pat the fewest months or years. I met her last March at her last caucus in Owens and Paula's 246 meeting. She was there to the end. It was one of the longest caucuses that day, as I recall.
Yep.
And I was really impressed with her perseverance and her persistence. She was on a walker, and there was nothing that was going to get in her way to participate in that. I just want to pay tribute to all the people on this call. Many of you are Democratic stalwarts who've been involved for a long time. And the fact that Owen has this wealth of friends and wealth of connections, family, and so on. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I realize that Pat was not only his mother, which is a very big deal because I know that people like Owen don't happen by accident, but she's a favorite person, an influencer, a matchmaker, a teacher, and a realtor. And that's only the beginning. So thank you for inviting us to this tribute. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Well, thanks for coming. And I should say the reason we were late at that last caucus was Mom was debating, raising platform points that she wanted to make sure were included on education and education justice. And, we weren't going to cut out before that was done. So Nita with Clay on deck.
Hi, I'm Nita Lynch from Denver, and like so many of you, I know Owen through political activism as Democrats, and I know Pat through Owen, and thank you, Owen, for putting this together. I think it's a real tribute to your mom and to you. Thanks.
Thank you. So there's Ann Perkins, dear. I'm sorry, I missed her. I missed her. I thought it was Andy. So Deer's there with Clay on deck. Sorry, Clay, you got bumped.
Hi. I know Pat principally as Owen's mother, and also as a Owen's close friendship with my son Robert, both at Gilman and at Colvig. And so it's nice to see a number of the Colvig people online. And also one last thing, you Colorado Democrats are great.
Oh, thank you. All right, so here's Clay with Malcolm on deck.
Clay Colvig. I'm the current director of Colvig Silver Camps, and I grew up at camp with Dave and Rob and Owen as kind of older camper brothers. Camp mothers are very important, and Pat was a camp mother for a long time.
And Clay's dad was Craig Colvig, and his mom, Mary Colvig, who ran the camp when we were campers. So Malcolm with Jackie on deck.
Hey everybody, my name is Malcolm. I only had the pleasure of hanging out with Pat a few times, one in Colorado, and principally in Baltimore when she was showing us around to houses when we were considering moving there. And she just really made an impression on me in terms of her generosity and spirit, sense of humor, and as some of you have pointed out, just her connection to Owen, who's been a good friend since my days in Colorado when we worked at a newspaper together, made a lot of music together, went to quite a few music festivals together, and just generally had a great time. And so I'm here to pay tribute, as you all have pointed out, to the part of Pat that is in Owen, who I love very dearly. So just happy to be here.
Thanks. And I'm drawing things out, but I should point out that Malcolm had a clause in his contract on the house in Baltimore that he would only accept it if Mom would be his chauffeur, and she would not agree to those terms. So, all right.
I didn't read that fine print.
Jackie with Paula and Susan on deck.
Hi, I'm Jackie Weibly. Near as I can figure, I met Pat and Catherine and Owen in the winter of '66 or '65. Not real sure. I was their babysitter in Cortland and moved to Baltimore with them for their first semester there, and have been in touch ever since.
Great to see you, Jackie.
Nice to see you, and Catherine, you too.
All right. So Paula and Susan on up with Laurie on deck. Laurie Beckel on deck.
Hi, I'm Paula. I met Owen in the Democrats when he moved to Denver. And when he moved into the upstairs part of my house, his mom moved into the downstairs part of my house. So we got to be friends, Pat and I. And she was here for over a year while she was waiting for a place at Claremont Park. And I got to hear a lot of good stories, and she was so engaging. It was just really nice to have a friend in the house.
Susan?
Hi, I'm Susan Hodap. I know Pat through Paula. Pat was warm, vivacious, great to go to movies with. Paula and I were talking about a Thanksgiving we all spent at Stanley Hotel, and the list is long. What a dear heart. Thank you for doing this, Owen.
Yeah, thank you for being here. All right, Laurie with Ginny on deck. What? Lost Laurie. Are you there somewhere?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm here with John Crawford. We're both fans of Pat. I, like many of you, met Owen when we were campaigning for Colorado Care. I remember the night before the election, we were at Paula's house, and Owen was having us make phone calls. And Owen was pretty exhausted after that campaign. And we happened to have a unit next to ours down in Pagosa Springs. And we were able to give Owen the needed rest he had. And of course, Pat came along with, what was her little dog's name, Owen?
Willie. Willie.
Willie. And Pat and Owen snuck Willie into the condo. So John and I had a chance to get to know Pat, and we spent some time going out to dinner, and we too were invited to the birthday party. And there's Willie, there he is.
He heard you, he heard his name.
My biggest regret was not seeing Pat in her last play. So thank you so much for doing this, Owen.
Sure.
You want to say anything?
So let's see, where are we? Jenny with Eric Smith on deck. Oh, you're on mute, Jenny. There we
I'm
go.
Jenny Perkins, and I've known Owen for a long time, and I'm here to support him. And my recollection with Pat is seeing her so many times at Stony Run when I was walking my dog, and I know she really loved it there. So that's what I'm thinking about right now.
Okay, thanks. And Eric with Jerry Shepherd on deck. Eric, you're mute. There we go. You're still mute. Eric, you're mute. Yeah. Why don't we go to Jerry and we'll come back to Eric. He'll unmute while Jerry's talking. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. My name is Jerry. I'm from Greeley. I did not have the honor of knowing Pat, but it is clear that her spirit lives in Owen and in everyone else. I know Owen from political stuff. You name a progressive issue, he is a part of it. We were delegates last year, both supporting Senator Bernie Sanders, and I have no question that her spirit will continue to live in all of you.
Thanks, Jerry. And Eric, you're still muted. Are you able to unmute? Let's see if I can unmute you.
I think I
There we
found
go.
the right screen.
You're on. You're good. Go ahead.
I was on the wrong screen. Okay, so anyway, so I'm Eric. I was living in, I was living in Paula's house before Owen moved in, but not much before. I think you probably moved in. I guess we fixed up, we converted John's study to be Owen's bedroom back in what, 2015 or 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so when you moved in, that's when I met you. And then when your mom moved out from Baltimore, met Pat. And so it was really neat getting to know both of you guys, being housemates and being your housemate and Pat's housemate, and learning about both of your joy of the theater and appreciating good movies and all that kind of stuff, and talking about all that stuff. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Okay,
being part of
thanks.
that whole.
Thanks. And it's getting confusing here, but I think we'll go to, I don't see him anymore. Oh, there's Rick Van Wee with Renee on deck.
Hey, everyone. Owen, I know you obviously from community activism in the Democratic Party. And you introduced me to your mom once, and I never really had the chance to get to know her any better. But if she was anything like you, she was a hell of a person. So thank you so much, Owen, for everything you do. And I'm glad to be here in support of you today.
Thank you for being here. So Renee with Sarah Bradley on deck.
Oh, hi friends. I am yet another client of Pat's. She helped sell a house for me and helped me find another. And introduced me to all the other real estate clients. Hi friends.
Yeah, there's a whole community of people who bought a house from mom and are now lifelong friends. So let's see, I said Sarah Bradley and Dave Sabetos on deck.
Yeah, you said me, and I had already signed up without camera on. So, okay. But let me just quickly say that I first heard Owen present at one of our monthly meetings, and I thought at the time, wow, this guy is brilliant and effective and everything else. Okay, let me start my video, I guess.
There we go.
There I am. But then I found out he's not only that, but he's a baseball guy and a theater guy and an ace political organizer with tons of integrity. So when I had a chance to meet his mother, I thought, well, this will be good. This will be good. And sure enough, it was. And I totally agree with Sheila that people like Owen don't just, come out of thin air. They come from people like Pat. And thanks for doing this. It's lovely. And I've been here the whole time, but I hate my picture.
That's
So,
okay.
okay, bye.
All right. Let's see. We've got Dave Sabatos with Jack Corcoran on deck.
Hi, I think like half of Denver got the chance to meet your mom through you, Owen, and community activism you had. And sorry, the camera on this computer isn't working right,
No
so
problem.
don't have that on. But Emma's here with me as well.
Hello. Hi, Emma. And they are fiancés getting married this summer, right?
That's the goal.
Okay. It was planned for last summer, but couldn't do it again. Take two. So Jack with Helen Papard on deck.
Hi, Owen.
Oh, we'll go Helen with Jack on deck. Go ahead, Helen. Can I put you on? Can I try to get you on camera?
This host has asked you to start your video. Start my video.
There we go. There's Helen Papard. Okay, my godmother.
Okay. Hello, Kathy. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in 25 or 30 years. And well, oh, and I saw you when you came out. But I'm an old friend of Pat's. I met her at the Shakespeare Festival in Oregon when we were both acting there, and we both moved to New York and stayed in touch. And in fact, I was with Pat on 9/11. I had come back to Washington for a conference that never took place, of course, but we spent the night, practically the whole night, talking. I think about 9/11, which is probably the last significant disruption we've had in this country since yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry that she's not here to not celebrate, but take note of the infrequency, fortunately, of disasters. But I miss her because we've stayed in touch all these years.
Yeah.
So our birthdays are almost the same, about 2 weeks apart, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were both ancient.
All right, thanks. And Helen, you might not have been here when we were saying we're doing introductions now, but there'll be time to tell stories as soon as we finish this. And I think we got Jack hopefully ready, and I think that covers everybody, but raise your hand or something if I've missed you. But Jack Corcoran, you there?
Yep. Hi, I'm the son of Joan and Mike Corcoran. I sort of knew Pat directly through all of our outings with with my parents, going to see Pat, and she was just always a ray of sunshine in some ways. So it's good to be here and to see all the support that's come out for her.
All right. Did I miss anybody? I noticed we've maxed out at 49, although a lot of people have multiple people in their view on camera.
Owen.
Did anybody have trouble getting in? I don't think we're locked at 49, but yeah, go ahead, Catherine.
I just think we're going to lose people because that took a long time. And I think if we're going to do the slideshow, we should do it now because that might be the nicest part.
Okay. That's
before people have to go.
Yeah. I'll do the slideshow. She's very optimistic because she hasn't seen the slideshow and neither have I. We've been scrambling to throw pictures together, and we've put together pictures we've never seen before. And I haven't had a chance to organize any of them. So it's a slideshow organized by the name of the picture. So you might see all the mom and Catherine's together and all the IMG numbers 001 together and all the mom at something or other together. So it'll be fairly random, but I'm going to share my screen, and there's a ton, so I'm going to go fairly quickly through them, and then it'll be open-ended the rest of the night or afternoon, and if anybody wants to go back to any of them, go ahead. I will try to really just identify things as they go by, but otherwise it'll be fairly quick because there's a ton. All right, let me share my screen.
Some of you should watch for your picture.
Yeah, I think almost everybody's in here. Everybody's in there. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Hang on. Well, I guess I'll just start here.
Technology.
Okay. All right. If it's obvious, I won't say anything. This is Mom at the Shakespeare Festival in Boulder recently. Can you all see the screen? Are you seeing the slides?
We see multiple slides.
Oh, and we see your album right now. We are
Okay,
not
hang on.
seeing
Let me
the
start
photo.
again. Let me start that again then, just a second. I'm gonna stop sharing. I gotta do something else to get it ready. Sorry about that. Okay, it should be ready now. Let's see. Share screen. Oh, okay. How about now? You see a picture of me and Mom? No?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So this is her at the Shakespeare Festival. Red Rocks. I'm sorry, Garden of the Gods. This is her family. She's the baby. Ben's graduation, her grandson's graduation. Maybe Ben's high school graduation. This is Willie winning Best of Show at Claremont Park. Our family, my Uncle Leo as kids here. Catherine's graduation from Hopkins with Mom's mom next to her. A family at Uncle Bob's funeral a couple years ago. All her cousins and their kids. Her mother. Helen and Mom and I in Telluride. Abigail Washburn, Bela Fleck's wife and banjo partner. Mom struck up a close friendship with them. In Aspen. Twin Lakes with Willie. Kennedy dinner. With Paula at the ball game. In Sound of Music with our friend Mac, who also recently passed away. With Governor Lamb at his house, Dick Lamb. At Red Rocks. First row at Red Rocks for Bela Fleck. Yeah, she's not in that picture, but that's Oklahoma. Here she is at the poorhouse in Carbondale. Mother's Day. With Willie, very recently. Week or two ago. One of the last pictures, New Year's Eve with Willie. Mother's Day when she first moved out, up in the mountains. At Catherine's wedding with my dad there. Old shots here. With Al Binford at Claremont Park. With Ann Farrell at a Kennedy dinner. With Catherine, I believe. With her grandson, Ben. Catherine again, I think. That might be me, huh? Is that me?
That's you.
All right, there I am.
That's you. I think that's me. Doesn't much matter.
Barry. With Bela. With her grandkids. Ben. At Moosehead Lake, I take it. With Ben. Don't know who, but with a gentleman in New York. With Bob Redford on her last movie. Robert Redford, to those of you who aren't friends. Her grandnephew, Brian, Ken's son. In Sound of Music again. With her friend Claire. Up in the Adirondacks with grandson and Claire and Eddie Hopple. And is that, okay, Claire. Coming out of the wedding, I believe, with my father, out of the church, cutting the cake at the wedding. Whoops, sorry. Years later with my father in Florida. Never saw this picture before with my mom.
I say 1962, the year I was born.
Yeah. Diane, our neighbor's birthday party at Diane's house with the owner of the Rockies, Charlie Montfort, with her wonderful spine doctor, Dr. Smith, with Ellie, looks like, right? And there's Ellie too, at the New York Deli. That's
Oh, this is Ben's graduation from high school.
Yeah, with the Sibilettis and the Perkinses. Her brother Bob's wedding with her parents and Bob and his wife, first wedding. With her family as a young girl on the left. With Frank Sullivan, I believe, on St. Patrick's Day, but I'm not sure. Probably, yeah. A friend from Claremont Park. Another friend with their kids as young.
That is Marilyn, actually.
Oh, her cousin Marilyn. Okay, great. On the right, with Victor Wooten from the Flecktones. With her mom. I love her mom's expression. With her mom and us kids. With Helen Papard and Telluride. With her dad. With her doctors again, her spine doctors, and with Hillary Clinton, with Howard Levy from the Flecktones. In Oklahoma, that's her singing in the middle with Oklahoma. Is that you, Jackie, I think?
Jackie, that's Jackie.
Yeah. I think that's Jane Potts, our friend here in Denver, and Joan, her friend from St. Louis. A bunch of folks I don't think I know. In Oklahoma, with John Reagan, lifelong friend and actor. You'll recognize him from screen and stage. John at Claremont Park, at Red Rocks with her good friend Julie Burke, who was out this last year. My sister at Holyoke. Don't know when that's from. Holyoke, Catherine and Laurie and somebody else. Self-explanatory. At her wedding, Catherine's wedding. Nephew Ken again, Keith, Sound of Music.
Kevin,
I'm sorry, Kevin Keith. I keep reversing Keith. Kevin. Valentine's Day. With a friend Molly at Claremont Park, Nancy at the Crowd Place in Baltimore, the doctors again with rabbit ears in the back this time, at the ballpark, at the Crowd Place in Baltimore, my grandmother's, where my grandmother and her family are buried, dancing at Catherine's wedding, Mercedes Christmas party, late night, Red Rocks, Garden of the Gods, wedding, up above Boulder, Aspen, Estes Park, Thanksgiving, up in the mountain somewhere, Telluride, I think, Boulder maybe. This is last year, New Year's Eve, a year ago at P.F. Chang's at the ocean in Florida, visiting my dad. Going up Mount Malsonotan in Virginia to spread my dad's ashes. She climbed up there. This is 2013. Maybe graduating from 8th grade. This is with Patch Adams, the doctor that Robin Williams played in the movie. She met him. Paul at the ball game. Polly Baca, Barry there. With our friend Rich up in Maine. Rich again. Rita in Colorado. grandkids in Maine with Rob. Pool with Rob, little Rob, little Rob. But there she is with Sarah, who's here. Sarah had us over for lunch one day. Shelly, my neighbor, at the ball game. These are ones I've never seen. It's Susan Rogers, St. Patrick's Day with Catherine. Friends with her uncle, with my uncle, her brother. There again, many years before with her brother. Victor Wooten from the Flecktones. Her housewarming party with Willie there. Aspen. Willie in Baltimore, I believe. Evergreen, Colorado. This is Beaver, probably in Telluride. This is Pagosa Springs at Laurie's place. Claremont Park with Willie. These are a lot of pictures with Willie hiking in the mountains. Not sure where that is, but Willie's in there and she's in the back. Willie on the divide, Continental Divide. For a little bit, she couldn't visit with Willie, but they could visit through the window. Her friend or cousin, I'm not sure. Never saw these pictures before. Some of them. I guess that's mom in the foreground with her mother on the left and her grandmother on the right. Veronica. Family.
That's Houghton.
Houghton, Michigan, where Catherine was born. Thanksgiving a few years ago, the Brown Palace at Come From Away, beautiful play when it came to Denver. Not sure where that is. Farmers market in up in the mountains at our grandmother, my mother, her grandma, my family cemetery. This is at a big House District 2 party. You don't see all the tons of people there, but they're all right off picture. This is one of the birthday parties for all the Baltimore birthday crowd, I gather, at the Irish Festival in Colorado. On the Moosehead Lake, the ocean. Mother's Day party. This was during my campaign. Here's that nomination of Obama Frosty talked about, with Helen in there too. Up in Maine. Pete Seeger, Hootenanny, Mom's About Dead Center in red. Red Rocks, Evergreen, St. Patrick's Day at Frank and Sylvia's, Thanksgiving long ago with her brother in the foreground, Catherine there, Uncle Bill at the end of the table. Knocking doors for me in my campaign, up at Red Rocks, Washington Park, wedding, Wynkoop Brewery, Barry and Brenda. Ball game. Ben, Catherine in the pool with the grandkids. Her old house, I guess. Claire and Catherine.
Moosehead Lake.
Moosehead Lake. The wedding. My dad never saw this picture, I don't think.
I think that's me.
Yeah,
Catherine.
yeah, that's you. Yeah, that's you too, with my parents. My parents. So here's everybody but Catherine with my dad. Yeah, she took my at Keswick when she was there for rehab with Howard and Debbie and Nancy. I think this is probably Ben's christening with.
It's the christening, yeah. I think it's the
grandmother
christening.
Julia in the foreground, our grandfather's second wife. At the convention nomination with Hillary in the background. fishing on the way back from Sarah and Kyle's wedding. A great niece. Knocking doors for me. First row at Red Rocks with her mother at the wedding and her brother, Howard and Debbie. That's a Beaver Cove Camp's cap that she liked. On our, I don't think that's our boat. It's not, but on Moosehead Lake, Denver, Evergreen. She's in the foreground there with Jane Fonda and Robert Redford making the movie Our Souls at Rest. With the Corcorans, maybe in Ireland.
Ireland.
Yep. Mountains somewhere. Colorado probably. Oklahoma. Old family picture. Ouray, Colorado. Pagosa. In rehab with friends there at the Rockies game. In Maine.
Moosehead.
Yeah.
Moosehead.
Wash Park. Never saw that picture. Bob.
Scottish Highland Games, though.
Okay. Bob Redford and Jane Fonda walking in front of my mom on film. Making the movie. 4th of July in Denver. With us. At the last game at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore with little baby Ben. Rich and Bruce and Catherine and Mom. And Beaver. Cousin Ken and his daughter Elizabeth. Edie. Kyle and Sarah's wedding. Two of us there.
Probably her high school graduation or something.
Okay. This was a Christmas Zoom this year. It's that crowd place in Baltimore. This is an old acting picture. Another old acting picture. I think that's Maine, I think.
Yeah, that's the Katahdin.
Yeah, this is on Chesapeake Bay here. Christmas after she broke her neck in Johns Hopkins. In the Hamilton picture book. On the river with Dad and Josie in Florida. In Colorado. Near my house. Up above around Silverton and Durango. Like on the movie. Telluride with Helen Pard. Josie in Florida. Kevin there. Yeah. And Ann with Bobby's daughter. Thanksgiving with Susan and Paula up in Estes Park. Grandkids. In our neighborhood, shortly after she got out here. Knocking doors for me. Convincing voters for me. My dad's family with Catherine and me. And Mom. I think
Ben's birthday.
Ben's birthday at Mom's house.
No, my house in Rogers Forge.
Okay, sorry. Christmas at Nancy's one time. With Ben's graduation. With Bernie Sanders, Mom to the right. Look at the movie. Wedding. Barbara Godet's son and wife in Denver. Holyoke folks reunion. Not even sure what that is, but Mom's on the left.
Looks like one of those photo booths.
New Year's Eve a year ago. Baseball with John. Another great friend from rehab. Our cousins, Uncle Bob and Elizabeth there, and Karen. Helen there in that picture with Claire. Holyoke. Here's Catherine's family.
Christmas at her house.
St. Patty's Day. Christmas years ago. There's Sarah with her newborn son Wells, I believe. Sarah and Kyle. There they are. At Zadie's Deli. Her birthday party at my house. A photo show that Denver DU students did with using her and some other folks. Willie bringing her flowers for Mother's Day. Wedding. Her housewarming party across Keys. Claire and Helen and Laurie and Mom. The view from her window at Claremont Park. Another view. Another view from, this is what she saw from her window at Claremont Park. There's Willie. This was a friend of mine who did a drawing of Willie for Mom's birthday one time. Making the movie. Up in the mountains. Before a play, before the Mormon play, Book of Mormon. Birthday crowd back in Baltimore, I guess. Kennedy dinner, Thanksgiving or Christmas, Valentine's Day. This is the picture that turned into a painting for Willie. And I think this is the last one. The card there says, can't read it all, but definitely says World's Greatest Mom from Snoopy. So that's the slideshow. So, well, we didn't lose too many people. Thanks for sticking around. And, you know, now we're just really open it up. If anybody wants to talk at all, I think we can stick around as long as anybody wants. And if you can raise your virtual hand, if you go down to participants, I think you can raise your hand. But if you want to raise your hand in person, I'll try to see it also. And I see Laurie's got her hand up.
I just wonder.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to set a time limit just because there's so many people here?
Well,
just give
yeah,
people
so if
a
everybody
ballpark?
took a minute, it would be another hour. If everybody took 5 minutes, it would be another 6 hours, I think. So if you're closer to a minute, it's easier, but you don't have to leave. We understand if you have to leave at any time. If you think you have to leave in a hurry, raise your hand earlier. But I think some of us will stick around and leave the room open as long as anybody wants to be here. So I know Laurie had her hand up, and I see Jim after that. Laurie, you're mute. You got to unmute. There you go.
Can you hear me? Hi,
Yeah,
Kathy.
yeah.
Hi, Helen Papard.
Sorry I missed your call today, Laurie. I was very, very busy getting ready.
Oh, of course.
We'll talk soon, though.
I hope so. I go back. There was a picture of your wedding, and I was sitting there with Helen Papard at your wedding, and I remember. There's so much I remember because I'm so terribly old. I knew Betsy in my freshman year at Mount Holyoke. My freshman year. I'm 89. I mean, that's unbelievable. Betsy's main thrust then was to be an actress. And she was an actress. That's very important in her life. She wanted to act, and she made it. She made it to the Ashland Festival. She was a marvelous, wonderful, fabulous woman and a very good friend, although we never lived together, except at Mount Holyoke. We never were in the same city at the same time. As long as I've been in Chicago, we have kept up this fantastic friendship for years and years and years. And I will miss her terribly. I just wanted to talk about how talented she was and what a great friend she was and how much fun she was, because she was fun. I could talk for an hour, but I'm through. I won't
Okay.
talk anymore.
All right, thanks. Well, we'll be here.
Thank you, Laurie.
Jim was up next, and I see Al after Jim. But if anybody, if you know how to raise your virtual hand, go to participants and you should have an option to raise your hand. I hope I'm saying that right. That makes it easier to keep track, but we'll go to Jim and Al for now. Jim?
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say at some point, if you have time, Owen, if you could put together a collage of her theatrical pictures.
Yeah.
That would just be one. I'm a fellow thespian also, and you and I have talked about that. I did community theater here in Denver, and then I went to Metro, and then I did a little more community theater after that. So I have a soft place in my heart for all fellow thespians. So and every time you would, I know you had to go fast through the pictures, but whenever you had a picture when she was obviously in an actress pose, it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
The energy of her face and her expression was just priceless. So I don't know, I would be willing to help you do that too. Because for those of us who have had some theater background, it's just wonderful to memorialize someone like your mom.
Thanks. And, for everybody, before you go, and we understand if you have to go along the way and don't get a chance to say goodbye, but want you to know we are having tentatively planning a church service a week from today. It'll be virtual in Denver. Claremont Park will have a service, and we don't know if anybody who's not at Claremont Park will be able to see that, but we'll probably be able to record it. And then in Baltimore, we're going to have a celebration on her birthday in Baltimore in September 11th. So this is, that slideshow was very rough. We'll be improving that, and it'll be better. We'll share it with everybody here when we get it in a better version. But Al, and does anybody else anybody want to raise their hand to be on deck? Okay, we'll go to Al, and then we'll see who's ready after that. Al, you're mute. You're mute, Al. Okay, there you go. Oh, you're mute again. There you go.
Okay, I met Owen through the Democrats and saw during his campaign against Alec that being from Chicago, I was able to vote 5 times. And I went over to another precinct and got another 4 in, but Denver's not up to how you vote properly as we are in Chicago. But I met Owen through baseball also, and I met his mom through a religious connection. I was introduced to her at the play, The Book of Mormons. And that's not as bad as sitting in front of the Sunday school class that came down to see me to see the play Book of Mormon because it was about religion. But all those things are in the past. I did go to see Harrison. We all drove down together. We sat close. Weren't able to be right next to one another. Came home. Went to the birthday party at Coors Field, which is a lot of fun. And I've worked with Owen during that Tuesday morning coffee group, and some of which were here. I saw Jim and Sheila before, and others who were Tuesday morning coffeeers. But it was most fun meeting Owen through baseball. In fact, he helps me get Cubs tickets from time to time, and that's not a Cubs hat, that's a Bears hat, which is another Chicago reference. But I thank you for helping me get the Cubs tickets when you did, Owen, and I enjoyed being at Coors Field with your mom for a birthday party. It was a very pleasant evening, and I thanks for your arranging to get the tickets for the Book of Mormon and for Harrison. Greatly appreciated. Thank you.
One of the things I was looking for, and I might have it, hang on. She wrote a biography. Everybody goes to Claremont Park. They have a biography when they move in. So I wanted to read the biography that she put together, but I can't find it. So is anybody else ready to talk? Any raised hands?
Yeah.
Who is it? Helen?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you too, Owen, and it was so nice to see you and talk to you again. And you, practically not very much, Kathy, but it was nice to see your face again after all these years. And Pat and I didn't, the last 50 years, I guess, we haven't spent a lot of time together, but we've always stayed close because she was one of those people who you didn't want to lose touch with. And I don't feel like I'm losing touch with her because she's there in spirit, and she was such a vivid personality that I won't lose her. Thank you for doing this again, Owen and Kathy, and I hope I'll see you sometime in the future when you get to the coast. Be sure to let me know, won't you?
Definitely. Thank you. And
Ellen, we will come out.
I see a couple people have joined us, so I'm just going to give them a heads up. At John McGlynn and James, we all introduced ourselves earlier, and we're sharing stories now. But if you want to introduce yourselves in a moment, I'm going to go to Nancy first, but we'll come back to you after Nancy.
I want to say I love seeing the pictures of Pat when she was young. Before I knew her, she was quite glamorous. But back shortly after she sold me a house in like 1989, like 1990-ish, I didn't date very much. And whenever Pat called, "What are you doing?" "I'm stripping the banister." And your mom said, "I'm coming over the house with an axe. I'm going to chop down the goddamn banister." And that's just so typical. And that's it.
Yeah.
One of the many stories.
Okay. John, do you want to introduce yourself there? John McGlynn? You're mute and you're off screen, but camera, but. Or James? You don't have to. Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna. Who's got their hand up? Anybody? Howard, is your hand up? It's off screen. Okay, go ahead. You're muted, but go ahead.
Yeah, 1 second. The only thing I wanted to say is I'm just sorry Pat's not here to see this because she would have loved this more than anything.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you know.
It's true, and I forgive me, but
It's okay.
she you may have heard from a lot of her, you know, when she was in Baltimore, she thought she didn't see enough of her friends. When she was in Colorado, she thought she didn't have enough friends. But I think this is a testament that everywhere she went, she made friends. And I wish she had known how many people and how much you all were affected by her. And I think I just want to remind you that we don't always, a lot of us don't always know how much people care for us. And if you get a chance to tell them while they're there, please do. Anybody else? Peggy.
Hey, before we go,
Yeah, go ahead. Peggy on deck, but go ahead, Howard.
Without your mother, my life would have been totally different, and Debbie's life would have been totally different. She made the most incredible difference for us, and I have always been ever so grateful. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you guys are great friends, and I mean, everybody here was, but you guys were special, and she worked hard to get you together, and you're one of her greatest. You gave her license to be a matchmaker the rest of her life, you know. So Peggy, you were going to say something.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to say something that I'm sure you have no memory of because she wouldn't have talked about it. But your mother had a friend. She made an enormous difference in this woman's life. So I know that's a story you don't know because you wouldn't know because she would never have bragged about it.
Right.
I wanted to share that with you.
Thanks so much for that. Yeah. And I think we saw Charlie in the background maybe briefly. But I think she was with you all at Gilbert and Sullivan on her last night before moving out. One of her last nights before moving out to Colorado. Anybody else? Paula and Susan, one of you have your hands up, or as a team you do. So Paula and Susan.
Yeah, this is Paula. Um, Pat was amazing in that she had this unquenchable sense of wonder and joy and enthusiasm for everything that she encountered, no matter whether it was dinner or a TV show or a conversation. Or we both love dogs like crazy, but the thing that I will never ever forget is that we went to quite a few movies together, and she was so much fun to go to movies with. But she taught me, beginning with the first movie, it was a big shock. Everybody's getting up after the movie's over, and Pat is not. Pat sits at the end of the movie reading every single word of the credits from the beginning to the end, no matter how long it was. And I swear there was only maybe 1 or 2 movies where she didn't recognize a person who was on the cast or on the crew of that movie. She could read fast when she was reading credits. Boy, she examined all those names. So now I do like to sit through the credits, even though I have no idea who those people are.
Well, those people appreciate, folks who pay attention to them. So if that's a trait that spreads, that's great to recognize everybody. I want to let people know, and I see also Norman is here. So Norman or John, anytime you want to introduce yourselves, just unmute yourself and we'll get you talking, or just start talking. If, I want to let people know, as Paula mentioned the dogs, and I think people mentioned, certainly in comments that she's looking after stuff, us and things, but 4 or 5 days after she died, Willie and I picked up some of her mail, and she had gotten in the habit of ordering packages a lot, and there'd always be a package arriving. We never knew what it was. It could be anything, and I won't even start on the range of examples it could be, but we opened it with interest, Willie in particular, and it turned out to be some dog hip and joint chews. So 4 or 5 days after she died, some dog hip and joint chews arrived for Willie, who's got arthritis. So it meant a lot to him, and nothing could keep her from looking after Willie, not even death. And I know he's got a guardian angel, so I'm sticking close to Willie because I know she's in good shape. I'll be in good shape if I'm with Willie, and she'll be looking after him. All right, anybody else got?
I just want to jump on really quickly after Paula talked, because that was my entire youth, was sitting through the credits at the movies, and probably Owen's too. And she, back in those days, she knew like just about everybody. I mean, she would just rattle off all the people that she knew that were working on the movie or in the movie. So yeah, big part of our lives. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, Laurie. And Lewis is on deck. Laurie, you're mute, but Lewis is on deck.
Okay.
There you go.
I think we spent at least a quarter of our freshman year at the movies in Springfield, Massachusetts. We would escape from class and we would go to the movies. And she knew everything. We knew every movie. We shared that. That was part of our lives. She wanted to be an actress and I wanted to be a singer, which 30 years of smoking pretty much killed for me, but she was an actress. One more thing I want to say before I have to go. We took a trip, Bobby McIntosh, who would be here if she weren't in France, and I and your mother went to Italy. and we had a fabulous time. I don't remember how old we were, maybe we were 80 at this point. And Bobby was being very obstreperous, and Pat was the peacemaker. We were all together at that very late date, having met at Holyoke, and we had a marvelous time, and your mother had a fabulous time. I don't think she ever got over, but she was the peacemaker between Bobby and me, and I still remember every minute of that trip. Thank you for having me. I will love her always, and thank you.
Thanks, Laurie. And that trip is documented in one of the albums, making up a 3-foot stack of albums that no pictures were included from that yet. So more to come later. Lots of traveling at a period in her life where we haven't shown any of that yet. So and we won't today, but in the future.
Bye.
Bye. And Laurie is also a great writer. She's got some books, and you should look her up. Laurie Levy.
Thank you. Thank
Mom
you.
always loved reading you, Laurie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lewis, was your hand up at one point? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I see Dave and Sally, I think, are raising their hands. Maybe scratching her forehead. But Lewis.
Great. I was just going to say, yeah, your mom had such a wonderful energy and spirit, as everyone has pointed out. And it was always a treat to speak to her, because she always had that sort of infectious energy that she conveyed about everything from Willie or to talking about, political current events and whatever it was. And I also just wanted to say from the pictures how wonderful it was to see not only the old ones, but also the recent ones. So I know how hard it was to move, out to Colorado from Baltimore and stuff, and how hard, Owen and Catherine have worked to make, your mom's last, chapter of her life a really fulfilling and wonderful one. So that was just really clear and evident in the photos, and wonderful to see, and how much you guys poured your love towards your mom. And I think Willie might have ordered those things for himself. So you better watch out on that account.
All right, thanks. Yeah, and I just will say again that Lewis's dad, David, was my dad's best friend in college, and then Dad was a philosopher. David was probably studying literature or something at Harvard. Went to New York to do theater, and Mom was in New York also doing theater, and Dad came to visit David and met Mom. And I think they were married a month later. It was love at first sight. And I think Mom had previously had her eye on David, but when Dad came into the picture,
Absolutely, she did.
Tough break for David. We have a video of Mom and Dad describing that meeting and trying to get the story right, 50 years later, between the two of them. Didn't quite agree on it, but it's a fun video, and if anybody wants to see that, I can share that. But,
I was going to say, if the photos could talk, wow.
I don't know if you've seen that, Lewis, but all right. Is anybody raising their hand? I see gesticulating every now and then, and I don't know what it means. But,
Eric Smith raised his hand.
Yeah, Eric Smith. Go ahead. You're mute. Now you're, yeah. Eric?
Okay, there it goes. All right, Barry disappeared again. All right. No, I just wanted to say, when I was living in Paula's house with you guys, how with a huge amount of time that you, Owen, invested in all the various campaigns you were working on. But most of the time when I was there, you were working on the Healthcare Colorado campaign, and the huge number of hours you invested into that, and the huge amount of time that you put into spending time with your mom, and just, really making her life good, in those final years. It was really very touching, and I just wanted to express my appreciation for that. And also, I just wanted to say that little thing, after I moved up to Loveland, Marilyn and I went down to see some movie at Shays Artiste. I forget what it was, but it was I don't know why I can't remember. Maybe you remember.
Yeah, I
Owen, but in any event, do you remember what movie that was?
I don't remember what movie, but I remember seeing you there.
But
Yeah.
we drove down, Mel and I drove down to Shays RTU, so we watched that movie, and we're kind of credit junkies too. So everybody, clears out of the theater, and just as we're about to leave, who's walking up the aisle but Owen and Pat. And it was just really neat to connect with you guys, after we had moved out of the house and everything. So yeah, that was great. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, I want to share. I think probably most of you I've probably already told this to, but just for anybody who's still here who didn't know, and I think because people keep talking about politics, it's not the biggest part of this, but New Year's Eve was a great night for Mom and for me, and she was in great health, and it was a pretty quick turnaround. But we had her favorite movie. Her favorite takeout dinner. We watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which we've been wanting to see for a long time, and we rang in the new year, counted down, and had party favors and toasted cider with Willie on the bed with her, and welcome 2021. And as I was leaving, she said, what a great day it was. We had a wonderful dinner, wonderful movie, and a wonderful celebration. And I said, well, let's hope it's a wonderful 2021. And she said, I just hope Trump doesn't pull anything. And I said, well, let's not think about Trump. That's the past. Let's think positive. And she said, good idea. So that's where she was right up till the end. She was paying close attention and holding people accountable, but also optimistic to the end. Anybody else? Did anybody have their hand up? I'm losing track. Or I'm not seeing. Oh, there we go. Norman. Yeah, thanks, Norman.
So this is a fairly light story. It's not too heavy, but
can you introduce yourself? So you missed the introduction.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm Norman Freedy. I'm a friend of Nancy Maitland's, and I met Pat through Nancy, and we went out a lot. I'm single. Pat was always single, so she was always my date. So we went out to dinner a lot, the group of us. Anyway. Nancy and I played a lot of tennis, and we convinced Pat to get out on the tennis court. And I'm telling you, I could not keep up with her. She starts off and she just crushes the ball. And I'm like, where was this? I had no idea. So she always was full of these surprises, that all these lights under the bushel, if you will. And I had no idea. And, I couldn't keep up. I tell you, I could not keep up. And I'm quite a few years younger than Pat is, so it was an eye opener to tell you. So anyway, I'm glad she was happy till the end and taking it all in, and I'm glad she didn't see a couple days ago.
Yeah,
that was good.
We had pictures. I don't know if you were here at the time, but there were pictures of her spine doctor who, when she broke her neck in Baltimore, she came out here. She ended up needing to have surgery, and he asked her, he said, you can not take the risk of surgery and, live with the threat that your spine may have an issue later, or you can take the risk of surgery, but assuming it goes well, you'll be in great shape and ready for everything. What do you want out of life? What do you want? And she said, I want to play tennis. Give me the surgery. I'm not going to take it easy. So.
Good for her.
It was in character all the way. Every doctor, when they would talk about what do you want, what are your goals, it's like, I want to be playing tennis again. So.
Well, she played with me. She was on fire. So.
Yeah, we played some ping pong at Claremont Park.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
Table tennis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my story.
Thanks. I see Jim's got his hand up. Jim?
Yeah, I have one regret. Several times, Paula invited me to go see movies with your mom, and I did not know what a cinephile she was.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love going to movies, going out afterwards, have a glass of wine, a little marinara with garlic bread, and talk about the film. I wish I could turn back the clock and go to see at least one film with your mom, having heard that. I was not aware of that. So I never followed through with Paul's invitation to go see a film with Pat.
Yeah. Giving people space to, anybody wanting to raise their hand? Yeah, well, we're probably at a natural breaking point. It's a good amount of time we've been together, and I really appreciate everybody coming. It was a great, I think probably we may have exceeded the number of people that signed up because so many people had 2 or 3 people in their window. But of those that signed up, I think we were about 90% or so at least showed up. So that's remarkable, and means a lot. And it's hard not being with people in these days, but so glad you all could be with us today. Means a lot. And we're happy to stick around if anybody's wanting to linger. John, is your hand up, John? Or no, he's gesturing about something else.
I think Ellie had her hand up, maybe.
Okay. Ellie, you're on mute.
I just wanted to say, Owen, how impressed I am with this group and how happy I am for Pat for having had such a wonderful circle of friends and such a rich life. And I'm glad we saw each other a little bit in Denver, although I don't think we saw each other enough because we had known each other since we were, 20 years old, or actually before that, 18 years old. Yeah. And I cherish our years together, and I'm glad to have seen you again. So thank you for including me in this, and I look forward perhaps to seeing some of you somewhere sometime. You've all been very generous, and Pat was a very warm and loving person. So we're all blessed for having had her in our life.
Well, she loved seeing you, Ellie, and she loved having you being nearby. And I look around the faces in here, and I mean, you all know who you are and what your relationship with her was, but I think, I don't think I see anybody that she didn't ask about at some point or another. And when she met you, sometimes she'd forget names and things like that, and you all would tell me to say hi to her, and sometimes it would take an identification to remember who you were, but she'd remember and light up at that you were thinking of her. And just know she was always thinking about you all and asking, no matter how little she knew you, I mean, you'd be surprised. It stuck, and whether it was somebody she wanted to fix me up with or somebody that she just enjoyed the company of and wanted to find out what was new, she always asked about you all.
Yeah. Owen?
Yeah.
Hi, I'd like to say something a little bit about her as a grandmother. I'll probably cry. I'll try to pull myself together, but she was just such an incredible help to me with the boys. They haven't raised their hands, but I just, this isn't politics, and this isn't theater. This is, everyday life. And she would come up to Maine until she was quite old, and she would take my unruly, boys up over and over and over again to Moosehead Lake, and they would hike, and they would ride ferries, and they would, get on boats. And she was always here to help me with the kids. And if I needed a break, she would come up and, do stuff with them. And she was just such a huge part of their lives. And I just really wanted to say that out loud. I mean, I've got tons of stories, but right up until, she moved out there, she was coming up to Maine, and, she was a very rugged soul. In our youth, she would take us up to Moosehead Lake, which at that point was so rustic. It was like an outhouse, and the electricity would go off at 7, and we'd have kerosene lamps, and she would have us building docks. And my father was busy teaching summer school, and she did it all by herself. She was so intrepid. And she was the same way with the grandchildren. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we are actually going to bury her in Greenville, which is the foot, or what do you call it? You come up over the hill and you see Greenville, and you see the aerial view of the lake spread before you, and she'll sit on the hill by the lake there. We just thought that was the best place to put her. So she'll be flying there next week.
That's Moosehead Lake, Maine. It's a big lake. You can see it on any map of the United States. It shows up. It's big. And behind me in the picture is our cabins where we used to live on Moosehead Lake, Beaver Cove camps. And I just, and it's a place that means a lot to everybody in our family and meant a lot to Mom. She went there forever. Long after we sold our cabins, she kept going back with her mother, with her daughter, with her grandkids, with me, with her friends. Our relatives were there. Rob and Matt, who are here, are my cousin Matt, who just both have had young kids recently. I mean, she loves little kids, and she's so excited about Rob's kids and Matt's son, and Sarah, who I showed you a picture of, her 2 kids, and she loved that next generation. I've got a stack of Christmas presents. I'm trying to figure out which one was for which little kid, but she loved that. And if you don't know, she taught for about 30 years in the Baltimore City Public Schools. Obviously did some real estate where so many people here met her. But some of her students are lifelong friends. Kevin, who's I guess gone now, is like family. And at camp, oops, did I just miss Clay? I think he just left, but anybody from camp, she worked for, oh no, he's still there, sorry, yeah. For years, she was the liaison with a camp scholarship that we got people from Baltimore out to go to camps in Colorado, and she would help interview them, help them get to camp, and help them prepare for camp. And she was there probably longer than I was working with the camp and working with kids. I mean, that was a big part of what was important to her, and a big part of the way we want to remember her. Major impact. I've said some sort of closing things, but you don't have to go. So, I mean, if anybody still wants to talk, feel free. If anybody wants to go, feel free.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is as much a tribute to you, Owen, as it is to your mom.
Thanks. Anybody else? Anything? All right. Well, we will try to keep in touch. Ricky, you're waving, not raising your hand, I take it. Yeah. Okay. See ya. We will let you know, September 11th in Baltimore. That's, I think, the big thing to look for next. But definitely something at Claremont Park, and there should be a church service here. Those are both kind of small and virtual, but we'll get together in Baltimore, and always happy to hear from or see any of you all here. You're all family. You're all real important people Mom touched, and she touched so many, and I'm so glad so many of you can be here with us. So take care, and we'll let people go. If anybody wants to stick around, you don't have to rush off, but we'll let.
I have to go.
Yeah.
Owen, but I want to agree with Jim about this is as much about you from all the reasons we've known you and so on. I just have one message for Jim before I have to go. He was talking before about his campus groups or theater groups on campus, and he's talking about the thespians. I just want to remind Jim that thespians are now allowed to marry each other.
Yeah. I think at least as of January 20th, yeah. But I don't share this with anybody, Al, but I think it's a fact at Claremont Park. When she was on stage, she pretty much stole the show. She was incredible. You're mute, Al, but she was incredible. The only reason she didn't do a play the most recent year was because of the pandemic, but she did plays the last 2 years, Sound of Music and Oklahoma, with an average age of probably 85 of the cast members, and It's an incredible production, incredible reflection of the community, but Mom always stole the show.
It was fun watching 85-year-olds and walkers playing teenagers in
Yeah.
those movies. Much fun was had.
Yeah.
See you later.
See ya. Thanks.
Hey, Owen.
Yeah.
It's Sally. Dave and I are on a little getaway in Chestertown, and I want to show you something that's happening.
Okay.
That's been happening during this whole thing. I hope you all can see it. The most beautiful sunset.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much.
Highly orchestrated, I believe.
So that's the Chesapeake Bay there.
That's the Chester River.
Oh, Chester River. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
So I took a picture of it behind you and your group, but it just added a dimension that was pretty special.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But I also wanted to say, I think someone mentioned your mom's sense of wonder, and I think her sense of adventure really was something that was really infectious. And both you and Catherine, obviously share that sense of travel and just learning so much about people and places. And when I think about how you guys have lived your lives, it really mirrors how she did as well, collecting friends and family and just experiences and places. And, what a great life she had. All those pictures of her, just moving around the country and, and how many people she touched. So amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. And this random thought keep coming out from time to time, but I know some people asked about flowers. I think, since it's so hard to gather these days, it didn't make sense to send flowers anywhere for this or the service next week, but flowers to Claremont Park would be one thing. If you want to send flowers, we can, I can give you the address for Claremont Park, and I'll share this with everybody, the people that left. And also when we have our gathering in Baltimore, that'd be a great time for flowers also. And we're trying to organize something, but I think in the meantime, we think educational projects and projects that help animals. I think all of her dogs since Beaver were dogs that she rescued from pounds or shelters or shelter societies or things like that. So if you wanted to support them, that would be in keeping also with her, that she always loved.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Love you, Owen.
Love you all.
Catherine, I've never met you, but I hope one day our paths will cross.
Thank you, Sally. Nice to meet you on Zoom.
Yes.
Me too.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you, Malcolm. Good to see you.
Yeah, so we just want to, well, of course, thank you, Owen, for this gathering, and it was really something. And we loved your mother. We love her.
Yeah.
And all the friends that she brought us together. It was great. And she got us to Ireland. We never would have gone.
Joan and Mike made a movie of, some kind of movie. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Like I hadn't had a chance to look at a lot of the photos I showed you just now. But if you don't mind, Joan and Mike, I'll share that link to the video with everybody also after.
Oh, yeah. That's fine. It's not
just a little clip from our trip that shows Pat's indomitable spirit walking through the worst to get up to the Cliffs of Moher.
The Cliffs
of Moher. You guys were there, what, 3 or 4 weeks? Was it more?
It was
1 week, I think.
Wow, 10 days.
Yeah,
oh,
it felt like we spent about 10 days just driving back to Galway because Pat kept blowing out her tire, but on a rental.
Yeah. Rob, those are the people that Ben went to Ireland with, just in case you didn't know.
I
Joan and
gathered
Mike.
that.
Yeah.
And
Ben,
Jack.
so Ben
I saw a lot of pictures then.
Yeah, we don't see Jack's picture, but he's still on with us now too. Their son. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago, but
I'm sure his apartment is too dirty to actually show his videos.
That's why I've got the virtual background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to say I'm surprised Ben actually graduated because he had a project due that whole summer and he was supposed to be working on it during that trip, but he never did.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yes, he never read any of the books that he had with him.
Yeah, he's a mass. He's really good at that game.
I think he was on his bike a lot, from what I understand. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, he came back with a brilliant Irish accent. That's what I remember. I wish he was here to deliver it still, but he did come back with a brilliant Irish accent.